So, I've got something super interesting lined up for today that's gonna totally blow your mind. You know how we always try to bring fascinating topics to QuickSpeak English? Well, today we're diving into something really, really mysterious.
Oh my goodness. You're talking about our cold cases episode, right? I've been absolutely dying to get into this one. I mean, the cases I've got lined up are just mind-blowing.
Um, yeah, that's exactly it. I know our listeners are gonna be super intrigued because, well, these are some of the most fascinating unsolved mysteries out there.
They really are. And the thing is, these cases have puzzled investigators for years. You know what I mean? Like some of the details we're about to share are just they're absolutely extraordinary.
I can't wait to hear all about them. Um, Especially since you've been researching these cases like crazy. So, Peter, tell me about the first case you've got for us. Um, I heard it's pretty mysterious.
Oh my goodness, yes. So, this first case is absolutely incredible. It's known as the Somerton Man case, and it starts on this beautiful beach in Australia, right? Somerton Beach, back in 1948.
What exactly happened there?
So picture this: on December 1st, this man is just found lying against a seawall. At first, people thought he was sleeping or something, but he was actually dead. And here's where it gets really, really weird. They couldn't identify him, at all.
No identification on him at all?
That's the thing. His clothes were perfectly pressed. You know what I mean? Like, super nice quality. But get this, all the labels were cut out. And there was absolutely nothing in his pockets except, well, this is where it gets totally mind-blowing. In this one tiny pocket, they found this piece of paper with the words tamam shud printed on it. It means ended or finished in Persian, and it was actually torn from this really rare book called the Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam.
Um, that's so strange. Was there anything else?
Oh my goodness, yes. So when they actually found the book, it was torn from, right? There was this absolutely bizarre coded message written inside. Like 5 lines of letters that they made no sense. And you know what's even crazier? To this day, no one's been able to crack that code. And the autopsy was just as mysterious. They found no obvious cause of death, but his organs showed signs of really unusual poisoning. But they couldn't identify the poison. You know what I mean? It's like this man just appeared out of nowhere, died mysteriously, and left behind this incredible puzzle that's still unsolved after all these years.
So, what's the next case you've got for us? Because that first one was pretty intense.
Oh, you think that was intense? Well, wait until you hear about Dorothy Jane Scott. This case is it's absolutely chilling. So, and this happened in 1980 in Anaheim, California, right? Dorothy was this really sweet 32-year-old single mom who worked as a secretary, and she started getting these really strange phone calls. Like the caller would tell her exactly what she was wearing that day, where she'd been. It was totally creepy. You know what I mean?
That must have been, terrifying for her.
Absolutely terrifying. And get this, the caller would sometimes say he loved her and then switch completely and threaten to cut her into pieces. He'd say things like he was watching her every move, right? And the really scary part is that he actually seemed to know everything about her daily routine. Then on May 28th, things got even worse. She was at work and one of her coworkers got sick, so she offered to drive him to the hospital. Such a kind thing to do, you know. But after they got there, well, this is where it gets really, really tragic.
What happened to her?
So she told her coworkers she was going to get her car from the parking lot, right? But when they saw her car again, it was driving away really fast with the headlights on full blast. And that was the last time anyone ever saw Dorothy alive. And you know what's even more disturbing? The phone calls didn't stop. For years after she disappeared, the mysterious caller kept contacting her family. He'd call Dorothy's mother and just, like, torment her, saying things about Dorothy and claiming he had her. This went on until 1984, when they finally found Dorothy's remains.
Did they ever find out who was making those calls?
That's the thing. They never did. Like, even with all the evidence, all the phone calls, everything, the case remains unsolved to this day. And what makes it even more heartbreaking is that Dorothy left behind a young son. You know what I mean? It's just, it's one of those cases that really stays with you.
I think I need something to take my mind off that last case. What's the next one you've got?
Well, this one's actually, it's really heartbreaking too, but in a different way. Like, it's probably one of Philadelphia's most famous cold cases, right? The Boy in the Box case from 1957. So, and this case starts when they found this small boy, like, he was only maybe 4 to 6 years old, wrapped in a plaid blanket inside this cardboard box near Susquehanna Road. And the really tragic thing is that for the longest time, nobody even knew who this poor child was. You know what I mean?
Oh my god. A little boy just left there?
Yeah, it's absolutely devastating. The boy was malnourished and he had these weird scars on his body. His hair was kind of like roughly cut, almost as if someone had just chopped it off in a hurry, right? And the box, well, it was actually from a JCPenney bassinet, which led to one of the first major investigations. They tried everything, you know? Like, they went to every single JCPenney store in the area, checked all their sales records, put up posters everywhere, but nothing. It's like this child just didn't exist on paper.
Did they ever come up with any theories about who he might be?
Oh yeah, there were several theories that came up over the years. Like, one theory suggested he might have been from a nearby foster home, and another one pointed to this local family. But none of these leads really panned out, right? And for decades, this poor child was just known as America's unknown child. But here's where it gets interesting. In December 2022, they finally identified him. Through some really advanced DNA testing, they discovered his name was Joseph Augustus Zarelli. It was just like a huge breakthrough after 65 years. You know what I mean?
That's incredible that they finally found out who he was.
Absolutely. And while they still haven't solved the actual murder, knowing his identity has opened up so many new avenues for investigation. Like, they're now looking into his family connections, trying to piece together what might have happened to him. It just shows how these cases, they're never really closed until we get all the answers, right?
Speaking of solving cases, how are they doing that now? Like, what's changed since these old cases first happened?
Oh my goodness, the advances are just, they're absolutely incredible. Like, DNA testing has completely revolutionized how we solve cold cases, right? And it's not just regular DNA testing anymore. We're talking about genetic genealogy, which is like, it's totally next level. You know what I mean?
What exactly can they do with that?
So, and this is really fascinating. They can take DNA from a crime scene, right? And they compare it with these huge databases of people who've done those ancestry tests. Like, they can actually track down relatives of suspects or victims through their family trees, even if the person themselves never took a DNA test, you know? And we're seeing amazing results. Like, remember the Golden State Killer case? That was just, it was mind-blowing. They caught him in 2018 after like 40 years of searching, right? All because they matched his DNA to some distant relatives in a genealogy database.
Are there other new technologies they're using too?
Oh, absolutely. They've got these incredible new imaging technologies now, right? Like, they can take old degraded evidence and create these super detailed 3D scans. And AI, don't even get me started on AI. It's helping analyze patterns in cold cases, connecting dots that humans might have missed. You know what I mean? And there's this really cool thing called isotope analysis, where they can actually figure out where a person lived based on, like, chemical traces in their teeth or bones. It's totally revolutionizing how we track people's movements from years ago, right?
Second paragraph in the dialogue.
In this episode of QuickSpeak English, we're diving into some seriously chilling, unsolved mysteries from Cold Case Chronicles. So I got something super cool for you, Lily. It's a bunch of really fascinating cases.
Oh, I'm so excited. Cold cases, they're my absolute favorite. And I just really love the investigative aspect and the sheer mystery of it all. There's just something so compelling, about these unsolved stories. So tell me, what have you got?
Okay, so the first case we're looking at is the disappearance of, it's a bit complicated. It involves a young woman named, let me just check my notes here. Yeah, it's the Maura Murray case. She vanished in New Hampshire in 2004, and it's completely baffling.
Maura Murray. Yes, I know this one. It's a classic, isn't it? The details are so strange, and there are so many, conflicting theories and so much speculation. First point, there was that car crash, right? She crashed her car seemingly deliberately. Second point, there's no real concrete evidence to explain what happened to her after that. It's just vanished. Poof. And the thing is, even all the investigation, even with all that, there are still so many unanswered questions. It's just chilling.
Yeah, it's totally crazy. She crashed her car, but then just gone. No witnesses, no real leads, just a bunch of, unanswered questions and conflicting reports. It's wild.
Exactly. And what's even more frustrating is that there are so many conflicting accounts of what happened. Some people claim to have seen her and some don't. There are just so many conflicting stories. And it's hard to piece together what really happened. It's like a puzzle with a million missing pieces. And the thing is, it's not just the lack of solid evidence. It's also the way the different theories contradict each other. It's super mind-boggling.
So, what are some of the main theories? I mean, is it foul play, or was she, trying to disappear on purpose?
Well, both those theories and others are out there. Some people believe foul play was involved. Maybe something happened, at the scene of the crash. Others suspect she staged the crash and ran away to start a new life. That's a pretty popular theory, actually. And some there are even stranger theories, which is what I really like. They're so out there and crazy.
Like what? Oh my God, this is getting wild. I'm on the edge of my seat here.
Well, some think she might have been abducted, or maybe she had some kind of mental health issue that led to her disappearance. It's all very speculative, of course, but it's amazing how many different directions this case has taken. And what's more, what's truly fascinating is that we just don't know. That's the really scary part, It just shows how vulnerable we all are, even in supposedly safe places. It's just...
Yeah, it's chilling, to say the least. This is insane. So many possibilities.
Exactly. And that's what makes these cases so gripping, and the mystery surrounding Maura Murray's disappearance, it just exemplifies the sheer unpredictability of life and the unsettling nature of unsolved mysteries, and the impact it has on everyone involved is just heartbreaking.
Completely. So what about other cases? Are there any others that are particularly striking?
Oh, absolutely. We could talk about this all day. There's the disappearance of the Beaumont children, 3 siblings who vanished from a beach in Australia in 1966. It's another one with a million theories and very little solid evidence. Or what about the Zodiac killer? That's a classic. Even though they had some clues, it's still unsolved,
Wow, the Beaumont children. I've heard of that case. It's just so incredibly sad and just so frustrating that there's no real resolution. So what makes these cases so hard to solve? Is it just a lack of evidence?
Well, it's a combination of factors. Sometimes there's just a lack of good evidence. Sometimes witnesses are unreliable. Memories fade, people don't remember things correctly, and sometimes the technology just wasn't there at the time. And police resources can be limited. It can also be due to issues with jurisdiction or communication between different agencies. There's many reasons.
That makes sense. So what about like the future of solving these cold cases? Is there any hope? I mean, with all these, advancements in technology.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Technology plays a huge role. DNA analysis, facial recognition, digital forensics. These tools are incredibly helpful, and they're constantly improving. And there's also things like genealogical DNA searching, where they can compare DNA from crime scenes to public DNA databases to find potential relatives of suspects, and that has helped in solving a lot of cold cases. It's truly amazing. And what's more, what's really encouraging is the renewed public interest in these cases and the way social media can help spread awareness and generate new leads. And it's a truly amazing thing. And there are countless podcasts and documentaries dedicated to cold cases, which helps bring these cases to a wider audience.
That's really encouraging to hear. So it sounds like, there's still a lot of hope for solving some of these long-standing mysteries. It's just amazing.
Absolutely. And there's also the advancements in investigative techniques and better training for law enforcement. It's a really interesting field, and there's always something new. It's really something else. You know what I mean? It's just fascinating.
Yeah, totally. This has been really insightful, Lily. Thanks so much for sharing your expertise on this fascinating yet chilling topic. I think we've covered a lot of ground, and I hope our listeners found this as compelling as we did.
My pleasure, Sophia. It's always a blast discussing these cases. I mean, they're not exactly fun topics, but like I said, there's just something so captivating about them. It's kind of like watching a really gripping true crime drama, except it's real life, except it's real. And it's, and it's real. And it just, yeah.
A.
Bye, everyone. Remember to stay safe and, be careful out there.